Hey there, toy collector friends and Doctor Who fans alike. Welcome back to the channel. I'm the time travelling toy collector and this is episode 3 of our perusal of the Dalek Parliament set from Hero Collector. So we've already had an overview of the set in its entirety along with the magazine and the beautiful packaging. And I've also looked at the first couple of Daleks as featured in stories from the First Doctor's era back in the 1960s. We jump ahead now for this second set to the 1970s, and both of the Daleks figurines that we're looking at today are from the John Pertwee Third Doctor period of the show. So without further ado, this is the first one we're going to look at. And again, as I've mentioned in other videos, but in case you're not aware, whilst they do come in a very large, very beautifully illustrated single box as a Parliament set, they also, once you open that up, come in these individual pods, sort of these modular pods. These modular pods then are as they probably were released in the standalone figurine series. And this is BD1, not sure what that stands for, and it's the Gold Dalek from the Day of the Daleks, which is a bit of a timey-wimey mind-bender of a story, where the Daleks create their own paradox, or allow the humans to create their own paradox to ultimately take over their own planet. Due to misinformation based on past events. Sounds intriguing? Excellent, go and watch it. That's my advice. So this Gold Dalek, first of all, is the one we shall look at. And again, first glimpse, it is quite an eye-catching, beautiful piece of craft work, isn't it? I mean, look at that. That's a really lovely item. Again, with a sticker on the base so that you can identify which it is and which serial it's from. The Gold Dalek really does catch your attention and hold it beautifully. As I've done before, I'm going to take the cardboard segment off. I am, for the purposes of handling the figurine, leaving it inside its little plastic environment, basically because I think this is quite a nice display option. At least that's my current thinking. It might change in the future, but I think it also adds a level of safety so that I don't drop it and necessarily break off any of those rather fragile looking protuberances in terms of the manipulator arm, the blaster gun and the eye stalk. But also it means that I can hold it and you can get a bit more of a 360 view of the entire figurine without my hands being all over it. So again, yeah, this really is eye-catching for me. I really like it. I am going to play devil's advocate here a bit, straight in with, some of you will know, well, actually, I'm going to make an observation here. These sense globes, again, the paint doesn't cover the whole thing, but here it looks increasingly like that's deliberate. It looks like there's a gold rim around the base of the globes, and then the rest of the globe is black. So that could well be a design choice rather than just an unfortunate error in the paintwork. And I could live with that because it is consistent. You can see that across all the panels there. It is a consistent approach. So I'm not super dissatisfied with how that's come out, to be perfectly honest. The skirt as well is pretty straightforward and clean in terms of its paintwork there. And we have the slats now. We've moved away from the bands that we've seen in earlier iterations of the Dalek, and we have the slats around the midsection supporting the area that contains the manipulator arm and the gun stick. There's a little bit of a gap there where I think where you can see the join around the slats in the centre there. but it's not. I think it's relatively screen accurate, to be honest, because that would be where the Dalek operators would be getting in the actual costume / prop itself. Working up the figure, I think it's the eye stalk is drawing my attention. There is a pupil included in the eye stalk, as you can see there, right at the top of the Dalek. Unfortunately, it looks a bit like, if I shake it, it's going to wobble, like one of those googly eye type things you can get on greetings cards and stickers. It unfortunately is a bit off center, which makes it look almost comedic, and it doesn't want to be comedic. The Gold Dalek is not known for his comedy routines. There's also a little bit of bleed, or what looks to me to be a bit of bleed, around the black of the grille, from where the head slats are. You can see some elements there of bleed around there. Let's see if there's any more evidence of that as we explore the rest of it. Yeah, you see there's some more there. However, it tends to be falling under those sort of middle rims on the Dalek's head sculpt section, and from a reasonable display distance, such as here, I'm not entirely sure that would catch my eye unduly. So I come back to this old dilemma. Do I think it could be there could be a bit more attention to detail? Yes, I could, but then they'd probably need to charge a slightly higher price point. Similarly, I think they're charging a high enough price point that I would personally be unhappy with some of that if I were buying it as a regular collection piece twice a month, or however frequently the collection operates. Looking at it like this, then yeah, I think actually I'm kind of glad that I've bought them as the set, because it mitigates some of my concerns around the overall individual costs pertaining to the figures, and of course I am getting them as a job lot in the Parliament set itself. So I'm within tolerances. I'm within my consumer tolerances of the level of detail displayed here on the Gold Dalek. So in terms of me being happy with that, then yes, I am. And again, as I say, the gold on the skirt section, the black on the with the black globes, that really pops for me. I think that really sells it. It really leaps off through the display packaging. And again, if I took this out of the display packaging and had it maybe on one of the Eagle Moss, the Hero Collector stands, then it may look even more stunning. But I really like this. I think the colour, the black and gold, of course, is going to work because it's a really good combination. So yeah, personally, the minor bleeds around the slats at the top, they're not. Then it's not enough to upset me dramatically. And yeah, so I'm kind of super happy with this. I'm very aware that now, once I've said it, you sort of can't help but notice it. But that's just the nature of the beast, unfortunately. But yeah, I like this piece. I think it's of course, it remains quite a small scale Dalek. They are about maybe 7 or 8 centimeters all in. But yeah, I think that's a good sculpt. That's a good look. Let me put the again, I've mentioned it before. I think it's a shame the cardboard can't be used better to display, because if you put it in to display it that way, the logo is the wrong way up. If you want to do it that way round to display it, the writing's the wrong way around. So however you do it, this could have been printed in a more a collection friendly fashion, so as to support the displayability of the individual figures. But it's easy to get it back, he says, it's easy to get it back out and get it back in again. And yeah, I like it. I like the little mini back. It doesn't have a coloured backdrop, but the neutrality of it sets off the colours nicely for the Dalek. It is unfortunate that the plastic here is static, although a bit ironic, because I know how much Daleks like static electricity. It does automatically attract any wayward hairs or dust particles, but by keeping it in this, that in turn does keep the dust particles and any hairs off the figurines themselves. So that's a swings and roundabouts decision for you to make. Okay, so this was the Gold Dalek from from Day of the Daleks. That's me giving the game away. We next move on to this beauty. Now, we've mentioned already, the Royal We, I've mentioned already. Let me just slightly reframe and refocus so that I can get this one in shot. The black and gold combination. Well, here we have black and gold reversed for this particular feature, this particular figure rather. And again, in this one, the protuberances are slightly differently posed, which is nice to see. So they're not all following the exact same display angle. Once again, we have the details on the back, and it is, of course, the Supreme Dalek from Planet of the Daleks, another Third Doctor adventure. And again, from a distance, that's not to say it won't when we look closely, but from a distance, this is a lovely, lovely figurine. I won't muck about. We'll get it straight out of its cardboard casing, just to keep things moving along. And here we can see it in much more clarity. Now this is really good because, if we start at the top, and one of the reasons I want to do that is because sort of famously this Dalek on TV had a torch for its eye stalk, which also lit up at the same time as the speech indicators, which are often mistaken for ears on the top dome here. But if you look, the quality of the paint detailing for these indicators, it's actually much better than the ones we've seen elsewhere. It's probably because they're a bit more substantial, so it's easier to get your paint on. But it has worked. It's really, really nice. And again, the eye stalk is very well detailed there with all of the segments, the joint, the connecting tube, the head of it, the discs that contribute to the iris operation. Yeah, it's all beautifully pulled out with the black, the silver, the red and the white. And I think that it looks really impressive. Beneath that, we have the rest of the dome. There's a smidgen, here you can just see it, a smidgen of paint bleed. But otherwise there, the rest of that dome is pretty good. You know, there's a tiny little bit more there. But again, from a distance where you've got this on display, that is a very negligible amount of paint bleed. The black and the gold is, of course, striking, and you can really see the grill work there, where the slats are for the midsection. You can really delve in deeply and see almost like the honeycomb grill that's quite apparent between the. Yeah, there's a little bit of paint bleed there, but look how I'm really sort of zooming in so you can see that it's negligible, really negligible. But the detailing on there really sort of outstrips that minor paint bleeding. We'll come around again so you can see how that plays across the rest of it. Again, little tiny bits of paint bleed here and there, but overall, that is a lovely black and gold sculpt. Then we move on to the main segment, which is the skirt area, where you've got the gold orbs and again, much like the Dalek Invasion of Earth, that raised skirt section. Flipping over so we can see that we still have the identity sticker underneath, Gold Dalek from Planet of the Daleks. We have the same on the Day of the Daleks item. So yeah, this I really, in case you can't tell, I really am liking this one. I think it's a beautiful piece. Let me just adjust and zoom in slightly for the purposes of showing it off. But I think that is a tremendous sculpt. Really beautiful, I think it's lovely. I think we are those who were able to get the Dalek Parliament set for that special offer price have really struck lucky, because the vast majority, as we saw from the very first in this series, overall as pieces they are really nice, and I think there's no real disputing that. Yes, there's a little bit of paint bleed, yes, there's a couple of little detailing issues, but all in all, these are really high quality figures. And when you weigh that up against the fact you're getting 10 of them, you weigh it up with the 68-page glossy, very informative magazine, which I might look a bit more in detail at one of the upcoming installments of this sort of parade through the Parliament of the Daleks box set one. You'll see in a bit more detail what that is like. And so again, Hero Collector, I think, have done a sterling job pulling this collection together, and I would probably have to say, if you were to ask me, do I recommend the Parliament set? Yeah, I absolutely do, because these overall, the quality is strong enough to warrant the special offer price point. So let me just reconnect this into its cardboard packaging. I will just say again, I think it's a shame that when they were developing the packaging for this, they didn't necessarily think through how they might be able to better use the cardboard element to more effectively, and I say more effectively carefully, but to more effectively support the presentation and display of these individual units. Because again, I think they could have slightly thought through how the wording and the graphics would be presented to facilitate a slightly more functional use of that cardboard segment, so that we could have had it as an additional stand or as a display base. I just think it's not a deal breaker by any stretch of the imagination. I just think it's a slight oversight that becomes a bit of a missed opportunity, but in no way, shape or form is it a deal breaker. It just isn't, and it's purely personal. You may have an entirely different view. So here we have these two Third Doctor era Daleks from Planet of the Daleks and the Day of the Daleks, and yeah, I think they are excellent little models, really beautiful. And again, because I have the luxury of seeing them in context with the other Daleks, I really like them. I think they're a real winner, so I can only recommend them to you. So if you do get a chance to pick up the Dalek Parliament box set, and it's something that you're humming and hawing about getting, well, I think one day it will be out of stock, and that's the point where you will regret the fact that you didn't pick them up. So rather than be that person, my advice to you would be check online and see if it's available. And if it is on special offer, it might be worth considering. If it's not on special offer, then it remains a considered purchase, and only you know whether the Dalek Parliament set belongs in your collection. Hopefully this series of videos will enable you to make an informed choice. If it is helping you make an informed choice, then please hit that thumbs up button down below, and why not sub to the channel so that you never miss an episode, not only of the Parliament series, but also of any of the other toy collector videos that will be coming out over time. Just remains for me to thank you very much for staying with me for the last 22 or so minutes. I hope you found it useful. As I say, you've been a fantastic audience. I've been the time-travelling toy collector. These have been Daleks from the Hero Collector Parliament Dalek box set #1. Please do take care of yourself and each other. Try not to get exterminated, and remember that a thing of beauty is a toy forever. Bye-bye.